G'day legends, here we are back for another episode of Awesome Aussie Adventures. This week we're going to take a look at some of the local attractions around Rochester in Victoria before we relocate to one of our most awesome locations yet, nestled amongst the trees, keeping us sheltered from the wind and yet still only a 100-metre walk down the track to the stunning 90-mile beach. So get settled in and get comfy as we take you on yet another awesome Aussie adventure. And our first stop this week is going to be at the Campaspe Weir, just a short 15 minutes drive from where we're staying at the Asens Reserve. Out and about exploring around the Asens Reserve. Our first trip was about a 15k trip down to the Campaspe Weir. Now when you take a look, it's pretty spectacular, all that water constantly running. I even climbed up top to see where it's coming from, and all you can see there is the river. The river seems to be sitting still, but still all that water's coming down. So if you're going to come down somewhere like this, you've got to be aware of the weather that's happening upstream as well. Because a lot of rain upstream, it's going to all end up coming down here, and you could be in a spot of trouble if you were caught out down here as water came rushing down as well. It does seem to be a popular fishing spot, plenty of carp laying around on the ground. Obviously with the carp they're not allowed to put them back into the water alive. So there's plenty of them laying around here on the ground as well. As you can see, you can get up nice, close and personal to it as well. One thing to note about the Campaspe Weir, it's only about 100 metres down from where the car's parked, and it's a pretty easy walk, so anyone should be able to come down and have a look at this one.
Okay, so how does a weir differ from a dam?
Well, you know, it was the old Scotsman. He looked at the weir and said, that's a little bit weirder than the dam.
You're a dick.
So it's just a little bit smaller than a dam, I reckon. Here we are at Iddles Lane in Rochester. It's a lane dedicated to a bloke by the name of Ron Iddles, apparently Australia's greatest detective. It's quite interesting, the whole wall just is a timeline of his life. So it's quite interesting to read some of it. So apparently he investigated over 320 homicides with a 99% success rate. So he must have been doing all right. So it's quite interesting to come down and have a read and just have a look at his life story. So our second stop on today's trek is at the Red Bridge. So the Red Bridge was built in 1876 and then it was upgraded again in 1914 just so it can support some heavier locos. Still standing, still in use today, so if you do come down here to have a look at it, keep in mind it is still an active railway bridge, so don't go climbing over it because nobody wants to get squashed by a loco.
This is actually the kick-off point for a 5.5 kilometre walk that goes around the town. There's lots of little interesting spots along the way to stop. We won't be doing the walk today. My ankle's still not 100%, so we'll give it a shot in a couple of days if we're up to it. But this is also the local boat ramp. Yeah, so it's a nice place to have a picnic, sit down and enjoy just the peace and quiet.
So the next stop, taking a look at some silo art. Now the good thing about travelling in Australia and the countryside, everywhere across the country, you just see the silo art everywhere. And here in Rochester, is no different. There's 3 silos here, all painted by the same dude. Jimmy Devanti, apparently his name is. Hope I got that right. So you've really got to take your hats off to these blokes who can actually do this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm lucky to draw a stick figure and get it right. What we're going to do now is we're going to install a new sirocco fan. Just because you're out on the road doesn't mean you don't have to do a little bit of maintenance here or there, or things change as you go. The missus was in here cooking dinner and it was getting a bit hot, so we don't want to run the aircon all the time because obviously we don't want to run our power down. So the sirocco fans use very little power and they actually do a really good job of keeping that air circulating and helping you out. So first thing you need to do when you're installing it is deciding where you want it. Well, as I said, it was to help the missus when she's doing the cooking. So we need to be close to the kitchen, which as you can see we are. Kitchen's right there. And you also need somewhere where you've got access to 12-volt power. So the TV used to be just up here, but we found that was a bit of a nuisance when you're opening cupboards and all that. So we've relocated the TV and we still have access to a 12-volt power directly behind the cupboard here, because I've got a cupboard on the other side. You can see where the TV used to plug in there. So nice easy access to the 12-volt, just makes everything a lot easier. Right, which means we can basically put the power straight through behind it, so there's no ugly wires to see as well. Alright, so once that's done, comes with a base plate. Now, doesn't matter which way it goes because it's basically the same either way. So you're not going to confuse that one too much. Makes it nice and easy. There's nothing worse than when you get something that only goes one way, you put it on, only find out it's the wrong way around. Nice and simple, doesn't matter which way it goes. So what I like to do is I'll put the top one in and then I'll just make sure it's nice and straight before I put the next one in. Right, so anywhere up here is going to do is because it's a nice big open cupboard behind us. So let's get that in. And it's always good to play with your power tools every now and again, even when you're out on the road. All right. All right. Nice and simple, easy done. All right, so next thing we need to do, we'll put in our drill bit. All right, here we go. And just get straight through to the other side. Nice and simple. Okay, now that that backing plate's on, the next step we've got to do is we're going to push our wires through. Now, before we do that, what we want to do is, what we'll do is, if you have a look at the base of each wire, one of them here is marked as a positive, and the other one doesn't have any marking on. Now the problem is, as you push them through, it's easy to forget which one's which. Now, the negative does actually have, if you look really close, I'll actually shine a bit of a light, hopefully you can see it. But if you look really close, it's actually got some grey markings all the way down. Now they can be a bit hard to see, all right? So what I'll do just to make my life a little bit easier is I will get the positive one and I will just follow that all the way down. So I'm going to just keep it straight, keeping that positive on top, just like that. Making sure it doesn't twist so I don't get it confused. All right, which means when I come down, all right, now I know this one is my positive. Now, so I don't get confused, what I'll do is I'll grab a marker and I'll just start marking that one red just so that when I do push it through, I know I'm not going to get confused with which one's which. So I'll just give them a little bit of a twist together just to make it easier to push through the hole. And then I will push them through. Alright, so we've got them through the hole. We know which one's a positive and negative because we've clearly marked it. We look at the base bar sirocco fan. I'll grab this torch again just to help you see it. But you can see you got your two terminals there. The top one's positive, the bottom one's negative. So we can attach terminals here to the fan. And in order to do that, with the sirocco fan, we came up with a couple of locking nuts and a couple of locking washers and a couple of brass nuts to hold it in place. Right, so again, making sure you get it the right way around, the positive on the positive, put the locking washer on and put the nut on. Really helps if you have small hands for this, which unfortunately I do not. Same again for the negative. So terminal on, locking washer, brass nut. Right, so they're all attached on there. Once you've got them on, I'll just grab along those pliers and just give them a little bit of a tighten. So that's done. Now what I will note is you will notice on the base here that if you can't go straight through to a power point, you need to run it down the wall or something like that. You do have a couple of channels both up and down. You can run the wire up or run the wire down as well. It doesn't have to go directly through the back. I just find if you've got the opportunity, it does look that little bit neater. Okay, so what we can do, pull that through there, line up the holes and just clip it down just like that. Right, so there it is. That's in the position it needs to be in. It makes it handy. You've got this lug at the bottom. I find it's a lot easier if you remember to put that at the bottom, but it's pretty versatile. You can move it around, pretty much do what you will. Right. And when it's not in use, I can just put it over here out of the way. Okay, so that's the installation of it. There are just a couple more bolts you can just put through here just to secure it on there. So now you've got to go around and attach the wiring. So let's go back around to the other side. So first thing I'm going to do is unscrew the old port where the cigarette lighter plug for the TV was. So I'll pull that out. So as I pull it out, what I've got left here is I've got these two wires which were attached onto the cigarette lighter port there. So the one with the black should be the negative, and the one that's all red, so red and black, so that's my negative, that's all red, so that's my positive. So it's actually handy it's got these couple of spade connectors, because it just means all I need to do on this one is put a couple of spade connectors and she'll be right. So let's go and get them. So here we have a couple of male spade connectors, and I've also got a little bit of shrink wrapping to put around as well, just to keep it that little bit extra secure, because when I tuck it away behind it, I don't want to worry about it coming apart or anything else, so that's just going to help keep it all together. Okay, so I don't want quite this much wire on it, so what I'm going to do is I'll only do one wire at a time so I don't confuse which one's which. Right, so I'll start with the negative, because if you're going to start with one, it's always better going to be the negative than the positive. Right, so what I'll do is I'll shorten it up a fair bit. Right, there you go. About there, that should still leave me plenty of room. So cut that, then we'll strip it a little bit. Give that a bit of a twist. Put it inside into the spade connector. And look, I could solder this as well, but look, I just don't like using a soldering iron above my head for whatever reason, so we'll just crimp this one. But like I said, we are going to reinforce it using that shrink wrap as well. Got the red, that can go in there. Do another one just to be sure. Okay, so we've got that on. I'm going to slide my shrink wrap over the top of that. Make sure I've got my negative one here. And I'll plug that in up there. Slide my shrink wrap back up over that one. And then just a little bit of heat. It just helps keep it all together and makes a much stronger connection. Alright. So that's one done. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing with the positive. And keep in mind, in no way, shape or manner am I auto sparking. General advice only. And look, if you don't think you're competent doing this sort of stuff, it wouldn't cost an awful lot to get the Sparky to do it anyway. So they're not too, it's pretty straightforward type of stuff. Now before I go any further and do that, what I can do is I can come around here. Voila, we're on the right track, it's working. Awesome. So now that we know it's working, I'll just close that off with the shrink wrap. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to push these wires back up here out of the way. Because if I leave those exposed parts inside the cupboard, what's going to happen is when we're moving stuff around inside the cupboard, it's going to end up pulling them apart and causing some grief. Like that. Grab those screws, hopefully they'll go back in. Try not to drop them everywhere. Pull this through to that side. Right. I'll just get a bit of tape on that for now, but I'm going to get a bit of blanking and just blank that off as well, just to save it pulling out in the future. Okay, so there you have it. It's a pretty simple job to do, but like I said, if you're not confident or you're not sure, just go see your auto spark. Righto guys, so we've left Asons. We've had enough of the tree change. Thought we'd head for a sea change. So we're going to head down to 90 Mile Beach, Reeves Beach Campground I think it is, and we'll go suss it out. Weather's a little shit today, but hopefully that means there's plenty of spots available.
Fingers crossed.
Alright, and if not, I think there's plenty of campsites up and down 90 Mile Beach, so we'll suss it out as we go along.
So we pulled up here at Reeves Beach last night. Was very busy because it was a Saturday afternoon. We wouldn't usually pull up somewhere on a weekend, mainly just because, yeah, like all the usual reasons, it gets way too busy and usually all the good spots are taken. So that's it. So sometimes being flexible. We came in last night knowing that the camp we were parked at was very windy, and it is a little bit windy here. So we've relocated now. Nothing fell, nothing broke, and we're good. Kieran can be a little bit of a perfectionist, but we do want to be far enough off the road to put the mat down. So we're planning on being here for 2, possibly 3 weeks, assuming it all works out. Fingers crossed. We don't know. The last couple of camps we have planned to be there longer, but have changed our mind or something's frustrated us. So I think the first camp, which was Meredith Park, the wind sort of got to us a little bit. And the second camp, which was Ason's Reserve, yeah, we couldn't really fish at, and Kieran was getting a bit frustrated with that because he's really wants to catch a fish for dinner, which would be nice. Yeah, so we'll see. We're on the beach now, which honestly, that makes me 20 times happier. So, and the camp spot we've chosen now that we've just moved to, it's much flatter. It's got protection on both sides, much closer, so much less wind here. But also there's a track right back behind it, which goes straight down to the beach, which is not very steep. This is our new campsite. See?
Yeah, I'm doing all the work, you're doing nothing.
Well, I
You just relax, all right? I'll finish.
I was gonna. This is outside work. I did inside work. It's not my fault I'm quicker than you. You can't even feel the wind here. This is where picking the right campsite is important. The last one was windy as hell. Even if it does, even if you have to relocate after day one when you work out you're not in the right spot.
Well, we knew we weren't in the right spot. The good spots were just taken. Almost beer o'clock.
Not even close, it's like 8 in the morning. The joys of being retired, beer o'clock's whenever the hell you like. So here's the question for my husband. There are 3 tracks behind the caravan.
Yep.
Which one goes to the beach?
Oh, they all meet up. One's for humans, one's for dogs, and one's for the snakes.
Yeah, okay.
Make sure you pick the right one. Okay, so we picked the ultimate spot here. So what we've got is we've got a little track that runs past us there. And just behind us over there, there's a little cul-de-sac. There's already a van down there. I would have taken it if that was available. But what the good thing about this spot is we get to sit here. When someone comes through with a van and realise they can't park, they've got to try and turn it around, which is going to be interesting. Mind you, I had to turn mine around yesterday, which was, look, if you've driven a truck, if you know how to drive a truck, you should be able to reverse a caravan. But it is quite funny watching some people. Okay, folks, so finally got the van all set up. Now I've got to find out what is the best track down to the beach. So I've got a couple of options here. Got one here, doesn't look too steep, and then I've got another one, or another 2 over this side that look quite a bit steeper, and I know the missus doesn't like steep hills, so we'll check this one out first. Hopefully this one does all right and I don't have to do it more than once. All right, so I can hear the ocean from here, so it can't be too bad. Let's go. Well, it's not all sand on going through here, so, which isn't too bad. There we go. Look at that. Not a soul on the beach. We've got the beach all to ourselves. Bloody awesome.
We've been at the new campsite for 5 minutes. He has sat down for one of them and now he's gone exploring. And I've lost him. He took his camera, so he might be a while. Oh well. Alone time.
Here we are. We're looking for rabbits. It's rabbit season. Good thing about getting our bush. I know the missus ain't going to follow me. Well, that looks cold, but let's do it. There we go. Ready? She can't get up, she's struggling. Got that one pretty
Okay guys, so today we learnt that the head mount on the GoPro does not float. So Kieran was diving through the ocean with it and now he's looking for it. I really doubt he's going to find it, but let him go.
Well folks, that's a wrap on another episode. If you want to help support us, you can support our partners by clicking on the affiliate links in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment if there's anything you want to know. Join us next week for another awesome Aussie adventure.